What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. It is Tuesday, another day for Bronny to make fun of me today because I'm
I'll
gonna be
ever make fun of
sad.
you.
Sure, someone will. Someone will make fun of me. But it is what it is. But it's still conspiracy. We're gonna get into it all. We have a lot of sad news. Some things that happened over the weekend that happened on Monday night that kind of sucks. So we're gonna talk about it. Also talk about um, the Ravens winning, the Panthers looking not too bad, and top 5 sports movies from me and Brondi. So let's get it going. Let's get it started.
Image, your beats are so fire.
I feel we can beat the Browns. We can compete with Baltimore if they have Lamar, and we're right there with the
That young man put his life on the line for you, for your entertainment.
We were talking all before the game. Everyone was like, "Nah, Ravens don't have a shot," and they're right there. What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great Tuesday. Great of a start. I hope you're having a great start to the week. See, that's how much Nick Bosa put fear in me that I'm stuttering right now. So I hope you're having a great week. Rodney, how was your weekend? How are you doing?
That's all right. Carolina didn't get the win, didn't play that great, but there were a couple performances after that made me feel better about it.
I mean, at least we're not, you would text me, you said, "How you feeling, Suge?" I said, "I'm feeling okay." And you're like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." I go, "At least I'm not a Giants fan." And you're like, "Well, it's not much better." I go, "Yeah, but my quarterback threw for 252.
Daniel Jones had a rough night.
Bro, the wide receivers, the running backs, they just kept getting hit.
Those 5 linemen combined blocked like one person all night. That was tough to watch.
I mean, what also was tough to watch, what happened on Monday night. And the unfortunate, I mean,
I don't ever root for players to get hurt. I didn't want to see Aaron Rodgers get hurt, but I'm broken up about it.
You're like karma.
It is what it is. It's whatever.
Karma. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other stuff. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it on this Tuesday night. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. We're going to get into it right now. So, buckle up your seatbelt. I think we have a fun topic with top 5 sports movies because my list and your list is kind of interesting. And I don't know if it's just simply nostalgia or what it is, but it's very interesting, the difference between our lists. So it's going to be interesting to talk about. Okay. But I think you're going to agree. There's maybe one movie you won't agree with on my list, but I think every other movie you agree. They're good movies.
Did you put Rudy on your list? God.
Hell no. What's up, Jeremy Miller? Hope you're having a great day. Appreciate you being here, man. We have a lot to talk about, but let's get into some sports news first. And we'll start off with 2 things, and then we'll move into some other stuff. Chris Jones, 1-year deal with the Chiefs. They got it done. They definitely look like they needed him against the Lions. So he is back. 1-year deal, $25 million. What does this mean for the Chiefs? Obviously, this doesn't fix the offensive side of the ball, but it helps on the defensive side and helps get one of their best players back on the field. What does this do for the Chiefs, Ronnie?
Yeah, I mean, well, Chris Jones he's a superstar player, and he's a big time playmaker. He's a big reason why they won the Super Bowl last year. And honestly, I think they should have done a long term deal and taken care of their guy who's been a top player in the league for a very long time. But like I said, it takes some of the pressure off the rest of the guys on the defense, and it gives them that much needed playmaker and pass rusher right there on the D line that they've been missing. They lost Frank Clark. I don't know if they're going to expect too much from that edge rusher that they drafted in the first round this year. So it brings some playmaking ability. Their defense wasn't awful against Detroit, but they're going to need Chris Jones moving forward, obviously.
Yeah, obviously they're going to need Chris Jones if they want to have Super Bowl aspirations. I think that you're right. They only got him. They only did the 1 year deal. Does that mean that they're going to, fix at the end of the year? Maybe try to give him a new deal, or is he probably going to be going elsewhere because he only got that 1 year deal? Who knows? But something to watch out for. But I think this does, like you said, it does bring a superstar player back to their defense, and doesn't make their defense obviously the great defense, but we see that with one defensive player missing, it can affect a whole defensive scheme. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Jeremy Miller said, "I'm surprised he only agreed to a 1 year deal." I mean, I think he just wanted to get a deal done and play.
Yeah, he wanted his money and wanted to get back on the field.
Yeah, so maybe just a 1 year deal, but then he goes somewhere else, gets more money. Y'all are early. Okay, I didn't know we were late. Wish we would have gave Burns a deal, something. Did the Panthers trade Burns or no?
No. He played against Atlanta. He played great. They just haven't given him his money. He's looking for around like $30 million a year, and they have been hesitant to give him that up to this point, which doesn't make any sense. They had the opportunity to trade him for a couple first round picks, and they didn't do it. So at this point, you have to give him whatever he's asking for, realistically. But they're kind of dragging their feet because Carolina's a poorly run organization.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Bronny.
I mean, don't say sorry to hear that. Like the Steelers are this beacon of efficiency over there. I mean, beacon. Okay, we give players that have made mistakes second chances. Okay. Okay? Yeah.
Michael Vick.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate news.
You also
over the say it, Bronny. I swear to
I wasn't going to say what you think I was going to say.
What's up, Star Drew? Hope you're having a great day. Unfortunate news over the weekend. Mike Williams passed away after a construction site accident. I actually didn't get to look into it as much as I want to. Do you know the details, or do
I actually hadn't heard anything about it. It was some sort of electrical accident, and he'd been in a bad way since then, and finally passed away this weekend, which is obviously very, very sad. Only 36 years old, way too young. Very, very tragic.
Yeah. Look, electrical stuff, driving in storms, going into rivers. That's a big thing in California. Is a lot of people die in lakes and rivers because they drink. And you have funny stories if you get out of it, but sometimes those things are not lucky. I watched a video one time of friends were at a river, and the kids were all 19, 20, so they weren't old. And one of their friends jumped in, and the river took them. And the last video they see is him. They think he's having fun, but he started saying, "Hey, I need help." And they never saw him again. So things like that, not natural, but like things that you don't think could cause harm are the worst. And obviously construction sites, people think, oh, they're whatever, but things fall, electric are very dangerous. You can get hit by something, you can have something fall on you, you can touch something you're not supposed to. So please be careful. It's very sad. Mike Williams was only 36 years old, which is crazy. So that's very sad. And I have prayers and thoughts to his family. And hopefully they have strength to get through this because this is tough. This is tough for anyone to lose somebody. So yeah. Star Drew, I bet the Steelers will get more than 21 points this week. Oh, I don't know.
that Browns defense is very good.
Give Ben a second chance after his case. Yes, Mr. J. Jay just taking shots with my Rams. I just saw the news today. Yeah, very sad. Other sad news: injuries hit the NFL, and some of the injuries will affect two teams we'll talk about. So I'll kind of just bring them up, and then we'll get more in depth with them. But one of the big injuries was a man that got traded, was supposed to be the savior of New York, was supposed to run on that field. 9-11. He was going to win it for the Gipper, whatever you say. And on the first play, tears his Achilles.
It wasn't the first play.
Okay, first series, first play. Fourth. Oh, sorry.
They got all kinds of work out of him for that contract.
And that is who we were talking about. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. It was confirmed today that he tore his Achilles. He will miss the rest of the season. And Zach Wilson is, if I had the meme, is in there beating Aaron Rodgers' legs like Stone Cold beat Vince McMahon's. He's like, I got this. So moving forward, obviously, this is a huge blow for the Jets. But do you think after this injury, maybe Aaron Rodgers is done? Because I don't see Achilles. I don't think. Yeah, we obviously both Laker fans. Kobe when he tore his Achilles. Dominique Wilkins tore his Achilles. A lot of these guys tore their Achilles and just were never the same athlete. I think Aaron Rodgers is done after this, personally.
I mean, it's not as bad as it was, once upon a time. It's kind of like ACL tears. That used to be a death sentence for your career, but not anymore, right? You guys come back from it. You can come back from an Achilles tear. It's just, I mean, it's going to be really hard for him at his age, right? And I think that he was probably, just my opinion, I think he was probably just going to play the 1 year anyway. I don't know if he's going to want to go through that whole rehab because it is a tough rehab coming back from that and try to get ready to play for the Jets next year. I think, obviously I'm sure he won't want to go out like that. But you got to weigh that against, like I said, all the work to get back and get yourself physically ready for another season. That I think you'll be 40 at the start of next season. I don't see it. I think this is it for him.
Yeah, for sure. And it's tough, because he was all the things you've been seeing, the training camp, he was excited. And yeah, it just doesn't look like that's gonna happen. But I personally think, I think he's done. I don't think he's gonna be. I don't know if he could come back, but I don't think, like you said, is it worth it? Prepping, you're obviously gonna get surgery and then you're gonna have to rehab and then see where you're at, and are you going to really want to take that risk? It's tough.
Yeah, and no matter what you think about his personality, I mean, he's a special guy. But it is sad to see he's one of the greatest of all time at quarterback in the NFL. So it's always tough to see one of the all time greats kind of go out that way.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people are blaming it on the turf. I can't blame them, but he's also 39. I think the funniest thing I saw, and I posted it in the LBHT Discord, is from Varsity Blues. He goes, crying. He goes, my star quarterback is dragging his leg. You fat. And it's sad when I laugh so hard. Billy Bob sitting there sobbing. So good. There's a bunch of memes today on TikTok that had me just laughing. So time for NFL young boy to shine against Denzel Ward on Monday, unless Allen Robinson turns back the clock. I think he's talking about the Steelers.
That's what yeah, I don't know who NFL young boy is.
It's George Pickens. What's good, everybody? What's up, Big Rich? Not sure if he's done, but if he does come back, I think next year will be his last year. But that's the thing. You have to all that work to come back. I don't see it. Starter, 6 months to get back at least. Yeah.
I mean, 6 months would be a miracle.
Yeah. Apparently, he was having problems with the calf in the offseason. People are already saying Tom Brady is going to be the savior of the Jets. Let me tell you something. If Tom Brady goes to the Jets and then turns around and takes them to the Super Bowl, fuck that guy.
If Tom Brady goes to the Jets, Tom Brady will be out for the season next week. Tom Brady is finished.
You will need to come back. You can't go out like that. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's easy for fans to say, man, but like, is it going through all of that just to come back for that team, a team that he doesn't really have any connection to? Like, why?
Jets will add another weapon on the offseason, get Wilson, both of them, some more help, and then Ron will take them over the top. Did you see the bar that what there's a bar in Wisconsin that said Aaron Rodgers had to start, and then that if the Jets lost, they would cover the bar tab.
Yeah.
And so he goes out, so everybody goes to his bar and runs up the tab. Jets win, and all these people have to pay their tab. Let me tell you something. That manager was fired and then rehired by the end of the night. You're done. Get back here. You're rehired. So that was pretty funny. Not funny that Aaron Rodgers got hurt, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah, no.
The whole game was wild. The Garrett Wilson catch and the punt by Xavier Gibson. Yeah, the catch was amazing. You'll see it on highlight reels everywhere. All right. Speaking of that's real quick, Rodney. Just go over some Week 1 NFL scores. Obviously, we'll leave out Ravens, Steelers, Panthers. Were there any that surprised you? Obviously, the big one was Cowboys Giants.
Yeah, I mean,
0.
I thought Dallas would win, but I mean, good Lord, man, 40-0. That is, like I said, it wasn't a good night or a weekend for New York, because that was at the same stadium where Aaron left half his foot. So like both of the New York teams, and you know what? I think deservedly so. And I mean, again, I'm not talking about him getting hurt. Obviously, we don't want people to get injured, but I don't know if you saw, but there was a sports bookie that had a sportsbook that had a never forget parlay bet, because it was 9/11, and they had the New York teams winning. But I'm like, Buffalo's the only football team in New York.
Actually, in New York, yeah.
And they weren't part of it. And now you saw what happened to the Jets and the Giants. I think they kind of had it coming.
Yeah, that was to watch. I did pick the Dolphins versus the Chargers. We didn't pick games last week, but we are going to do it this week. But I picked the Dolphins.
Thanks for letting me know.
You got to be able to pick them on the fly. Okay. You can make false picks because your real show's tomorrow, so then you just make your real picks tomorrow. So you're good. I picked the Dolphins to beat the Chargers, and they did. Yeah. Tua just threw absolutely everywhere over the yard. And Tyreek Hill says, "Hey, I'm going to get 2,000 yards this year." He might be damn near close to getting that. Packers beat the Bears, kind of put a whooping on them. Rams beating the Seahawks. I did not expect that.
Yeah, no, didn't really see that one coming. Shout out to Puka Nakua for the fantastic debut game in the first rookie season.
I had the guy from the Raiders, Wayne, that had like 2 touchdowns. Won me the game. I was going into my fantasy. I was like not even favored, and then I won it because of him.
Well, yeah,
because Renfro gave me no points.
Shout out to Josh Allen. I thought there was no chance I would win my game, but then 4 turnovers really came through for me.
There you go. David Carr won for the Saints. Derek, sorry, I get them mixed up. They're both bad. Who cares? The Raiders beating the Broncos by 1. Interesting game. Obviously, Jaguars beating the Colts. Commanders beating the Cardinals. It's not surprising, but
it's surprising it was only 4 points.
Facts. Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's that guy. He's that by. Beating the Browns. Beating the Vikings. And telling people to hit the weight. And then telling people to hit the weight room. That's interesting. And the Browns
demolishing Cincinnati.
which scares me.
They got the highest paid player in the history of the league benched in his first game after he signed his contract.
84 yards.
Yeah, it was
84
amazing.
yards. 84 yards. Jeremy, I can't believe we annihilated the Giants. I thought the Giants was a little bit better than this. I didn't see Dallas posting numbers really, but going late win Dallas. I don't ever want certain people to compare Josh Allen to Cam again. I'm really rooting for the Dolphins to stay healthy, please, absolutely. But Bucks beating the Vikings was sort of surprising. Yeah,
Why are you rooting for the Dolphins if you're a Cowboys fan?
the performance was pissed me off that he kept chucking it into double coverage. Like there has to be someone underneath. Commanders won. Wow. I'm not fully sold on the Browns because of the rain, but they did look good. Well, we'll see. We'll definitely see. Trust me. I'm not looking forward to that game. All right. Let's talk about it. Steelers versus the 49ers. Going into this game, a lot of people, and I freaking knew this when I saw it on Saturday. Experts picking the Steelers. I said, God dang it. I didn't want that. And it motivated the 49ers. There were some comments made by Patrick Peterson talking about how he was going to pick Brock Purdy off. And they absolutely demolished the Steelers.
Sure did.
Couple things that I saw that really I had a problem with was the play calling was horrific. You're trying to run the ball and you don't even do that. You don't even attempt to run the ball. I had told you last week, Kenny Pickett did not need to throw more than 25, 30 times. He threw for 46.
Well, I mean, you kind of had to do that when you get your ass kicked like that.
Well, yes and no, because yes, when you're behind, you need to throw the ball. No, when you go out your first 10 series and don't get a first down. Why are we not even attempting to run the ball? Why are we just throwing it? Because it was only, I believe, at the half, it was 20-7. So you're only down 2 scores. But after the second, it was only like 13-0 something like that, I believe. No, it's 10-0. And then, so in the second, it ended up being 20-7. So you were only down 10 points. You did not need to start throwing the ball all over the yard, especially with that defense, especially allowing Nick Bosa, Fred Warren to just pin their ears back and go after Pickett. You didn't need to throw the ball like that. I thought the play calling was horrific by Matt Canada.
I gotta say, like, a 2-score deficit to the 49ers is kind of a big deal. Like you're not coming back handing the ball to Najee Harris. Because really what's going to happen at that point is you'll hand the ball to Najee Harris, they'll hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey, and you're just accelerating the end of the game. Like they had to put up points quick. They just, obviously Kenny wasn't up to it. Kenny, you should write him a letter and let him know that he does have George Pickens on the field with him. I mean, you remind us every week. Maybe you need to let Kenneth know because he cannot find this dude.
So there is a controversial already. There was somebody George had posted a picture or maybe a video of that catch he made, but it ended up going out of bounds. And you could say the catch was a little late, the throw was a little late. And someone said on there, which they had like kind of in I don't really know what the quote was, but basically wish someone could get him the ball. And supposedly George Pickens like it. Now people are saying this is a shot at Kenny. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a shot because then it was erased or whatever happened. He denies. He said I didn't like it. I can't even like stuff. I don't think that's a shot at Kenny. I think that's a shot at Matt Canada. Because why are you not running plays to get him the ball? Whether it's bubble screens, whether it's quick ins, things like that, get him the ball and have him make plays for you. Now, again, I know you're going to say, well, it's Kenneth's job to get him the ball, which I agree. But the offensive line isn't that good yet. They haven't gelled. They're playing one of the best defenses. You got to figure out a way for Pickett to get the ball to Pickens quickly. And I think that was, to me, the issue of this game. Now, there is rumors that one of the first or two players of the game, Pickett gets sacked and thrown down and he hits his head. They're saying that possibly that caused him to get a concussion. And even though he played, that was the reason why he was missing throws. Because there was some throws that were just missed, like just blatantly missed throws. So what happened to the guy that at the end of the year, the preseason, to now all of a sudden you can't hit wide open throws?
Well, I'll tell you what happened to the guy in the preseason. He was playing defenders who aren't in the NFL. And that's not to say that he's going to play this way all season. I don't mean that. He is just coming into his second year. He hasn't even played a full season, and he went out there week one against arguably the best defense in the league, in a league where defenses are always, as Coach Evans pointed out, always ahead of the offenses at the beginning of the season, particularly now when teams don't have as much time to work during the off season. They have fewer practices, mini camps, things like that, and you have a one fewer preseason game. It's harder for the offense to get on the same page, and the defense comes out a little bit more prepared in week one. So I think that I think he'll be fine moving forward. And to your point about George Pickens and the like, that wasn't. He may have been thinking that way, that, I'm upset about the play calling. Because, Pickett threw in the ball 7 times. He caught 5 of them, right? It's not terrible numbers in terms of the targets and the catches. But you have to know how that's going to look if you like a comment like that. The comment is about Kenny Pickett, obviously. Right?
Yeah, the comment by the person was about Kenny Pickett. Yeah.
And if you like that, everybody's going to assume that you are talking about Kenny Pickett as well. He may not have meant it that way. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he may not have meant it that way. But you have to know how that's going to look before you like it. But certainly they got to get rid of Matt Canada.
Yeah, and I think fans take it too far, because fans are always already calling like, yo, get George Pickens out of here. Look, he doesn't even like our quarterback. Like, wait a minute. Unless he comes out and says it, why are you like just
I'll say this. I'll say this too. If we're gonna do Pickett versus Pickens, George isn't the one you want to get rid of.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
And again, I'm not even saying that Kenny's going to be a bad player or anything like that, but George Pickens has the ability to be special. I don't think Kenny Pickett has that. So you want to hold on to George.
Yeah. Who's to blame for this loss? Now, to me, I have 2 blames. I have one is Kenny Pickett, because you are an NFL quarterback. You got to make those throws and at least hit the open ones. I understand, like you said, you're playing the number 1 defense. Sure. Okay, if you don't have enough time, you're rushed, things like that. But there were blatant open throws that you missed, either through behind, through in front, bad decision-making. There was just a lot of things that I thought he had kind of got rid of, and it didn't seem like he did. So one is George Pickett, is Kenny Pickett. The other one is the Steelers' third down defense. Now, I had been arguing all week with 49er fans. Brock Purdy's going to throw all over you. Brock Purdy's going to annihilate you guys. He threw for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns for 19 out of 29. Okay. But where he made his bread and butter was he would throw a 5-yarder to Ayuk, and Ayuk would turn it into 15 yards. He had eight receptions for 129 yards. You have to get off the ball. I'll get off the field on third down. You cannot stay on the field, especially with the Christian McCaffrey back there, because Christian McCaffrey ran for 152 yards. Damn near could have had 200 yards on us, and it could have got bad because Fred Warren dropped interception that was going to be a touchdown had he caught it. So the Steelers are lucky that they were even just down 13 points going into half. Mm-hmm. You have to get off the field on third down. Now, TJ Watt, if I were to tell you, Rodney, TJ Watt had 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, recovered a fumble, all this stuff, you would have been like, damn, maybe the Steelers had a good game. All those stats didn't do anything. It literally never affected the game. And that was because they couldn't get off the field on third down, and they literally had 10 or 11 drives where it was 3 and out. They didn't get a first down until I think 5 minutes left in the second quarter, which almost was going to be the end of the half. They didn't get a first down. So,
yeah,
I mean, those are two major problems you need to fix ASAP, because Monday is a game that we need. Because if we lose Monday and then we go to Vegas and lose on my damn birthday, I'm gonna be pissed. Matter of fact, just to let everybody know, next week is my birthday. You want to donate right there, Stream Elements? Appreciate it. If they go to Vegas and lose next week, is gonna be or in 2 weeks.
They're not gonna lose to the Raiders.
I hope not. And I see Jay say Myles Garrett. Nick Bosa, what the more to me what I watched was more the middle linebackers being an issue for Kenny and not the line. Yes, he was rushed, but it seemed more like Warren, the corners were playing him great. I saw someone said because we weren't running the ball, they just sat on every pass play. They weren't worried about the run, and so you have to. This is why I go back to you have to run the ball. And Kenny has to make those throws, and he has to make those completions, because you're going 3 and out 10 times in a row. That's just what are you doing? He had negative yards and only had 9 yards at one point. If it wasn't until that drive at the end of the half, and he got some of that back, it was like I think 54 or something like that. So like that's not good. And Matt Canada needs to call a better game. Ronnie, if you can give me who do you think is to blame for this? And if you say Ben Roethlisberger, we're back.
No, I think to your point about running the ball, Najee Harris had 6 carries, right? And he's not the kind of back that you can give 6 carries to and expect any kind of production at all, right? So yeah, I mean, look, we knew coming into the season that Matt Canada was not a great offensive coordinator and probably not going to do a great job. Now, what I was saying before about the offenses being behind the defense and it being harder to get on the same page doesn't really apply to the 49ers, because the 49ers are the same team that they were, right? They're the same team that they've been for the last several years. You have the same coach running the same offense. You've got Ayuk, you got Deebo Samuel, you got George Kittle. Now, I mean, Christian McCaffrey came last year, but he's still there. Brock Purdy's your quarterback for the second year in a row now. So like it's not, they didn't have to get on the same page, right? They're already there.
Yeah.
And you can't say a whole lot to 49ers fans when they're winning and they put up 30 and they win by 20 plus like that. But yeah, Brock Purdy and Jay said it in the chat. Brock Purdy is not what makes that offense go, right? You throw short, easy passes to a team that is just overflowing with high level playmakers. Deebo Samuel is one of the best in the league after the catch. Ayuk, is obviously raising his level as well. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best players in the league, period. George Kittle is the second best tight end in the NFL. And it's going to be really, really difficult to keep the ball out of everyone's hands, right? So yeah, it's not a Brock Purdy is going to tear up your defense thing. It's if you can't sack Brock Purdy in the first, 0.75 seconds, he's probably going to find one of those guys open, and then you're screwed.
Yeah,
I will blame the 49ers mostly for this loss. There's too much talent, and the majority of it for the Steelers has to go to Kenny Pickett. He has to play better. You do have playmakers in Pittsburgh as well. You got George Pickens. Deontay obviously got hurt, but you had Deontay Johnson for the amount of time that you had him. You have Freiermuth. You have Najee Harris. You have Calvin Austin. You've got to be able to kind of match the 49ers offensively if your defense is not going to be able to slow them down.
Facts. Who was guarding Ayuk? Nobody was. That was the problem. Actually, it was Levi Wallace, and he was literally.
Why was that?
He was 3 or 4 yards off him every freaking time. I don't know why Joey Porter Jr. wasn't in there. Like, if that's Joey Porter Jr., then we just go, yo, we left it up to a rookie. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But Levi Wallace is in there, who we signed last year and just got absolutely mangled. Now, yes, I see Jeremy Miller bringing it up. Cam Hayward's going to be out, going to hurt him for a while. I don't think the Cam Hayward injury is going to be that bad because his backup has been playing pretty well. But we'll see. I think we'll miss his veteran leadership, his hustle, because he's a constant go guy. I think production-wise, I think his backup, Butte, I believe his name is. If I can spell it right, probably not. I believe he will do a serviceable job. Now, the problem I say with that is we're going up against Nick Chubb this coming up week. And that is not good. So there's Larry Obijobi. Obijobi, DeVarvin Lil, but DeVarvin Lil was hurt in this game, so I don't know if he's gonna play. Cameron Hayward, Isaiah Loudermilk. Imagine having that name. Kenneth Butin has been playing. He's been playing nose tackle, and Cam kind of plays in the middle. So Martavius Adams is the other nose tackle. So we'll kind of see what goes on there. Again, am worried because we are going up against Nick Chubb, and they just ran all over the Bengals this week. And now, mind you, it was in the rain, things like that. But we're not going to be able to slow Nick Chubb down. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think we're going to have to really step up on our defense. Again, Watt had no effect on the game as far as just
the plays that he made didn't really kind of swing the momentum Pittsburgh's way. I think that Cleveland's a whole different beast than the 49ers, right? Yeah, they beat the hell out of Cincinnati, but Cincinnati has had problems with Cleveland ever since Joe Burrow's been in the league. I believe he's beaten them once in his career. And, the reality is you probably shouldn't look for too much of a boost from the defense, especially with Cam Hayward going out. Where they need to improve is on the offensive side of the ball. Like, scoring 7 points is not a thing that can happen in the NFL today. If you want to win games. They have to get and really Kenny Pickett is probably not at this point at a stage where he can overcome bad offensive coaching in terms of or bad play calling, I should say. They really do need to do something about Matt Canada, but they have the playmakers, and Kenny's got to do what he can do in terms of making good decisions, making accurate throws, getting the ball in their hands as quickly as he can. You're not getting as much help from the sidelines as some of these other quarterbacks are, but they have to make do with what they've got right now. They have to be able to put up more points than they did in week 1.
I will say this: there is a thing going around that he was giving more freedom at the line. So were a lot of those calls run calls, and did he switch into passing calls? And if that's the case, then you need to – I would own up to him and say, look, a lot of those calls were on me. I just didn't make the throw correctly. And if that's the case, then that's a lot on him.
Well, I didn't see the game because you can typically tell when a quarterback's changing the play. And I don't think that's a thing that happens. If they were doing it at the line, I don't think that's a thing that happens that often, right? And he. I know Ben
did it. I know Ben did it a lot.
Ben was I mean, for being honest, Ben was a Hall of Fame quarterback, and towards the end of your career, you can start doing that kind of thing because you've seen it all. You have that experience. You know what the defense is trying to do to you. That's why you saw Peyton Manning doing it all the time. But younger quarterbacks are typically not going to have the confidence or the leeway to just go up there and make changes. I mean, and that that's honestly something that sounds like a coach kind of putting that out there to deflect blame from himself. Why would you put that out there about your second year quarterback who hasn't even started a full season?
True. Now, let me ask you a question before we move on to the next, to the Ravens and Texans. If they start off 0-3, is Mike Tomlin still the coach of the Steelers after their bye week?
Listen, there shouldn't be anything that can happen this season that would cost Mike Tomlin his job. He's been one of the best head coaches in the league for the entirety of his tenure in Pittsburgh. I don't care if they go 0-17. They shouldn't be looking to fire Mike Tomlin right now. But, Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh, so we'll see.
Real quick, can I give me a score for this Browns-Steelers game?
Browns and Steelers Monday night. Are they at home or are they in Cleveland?
I think it's in Cleveland. Apologies, I should know this. No, it's at Pittsburgh.
Okay. I think Pittsburgh bounces back. I think they get the win. I'm gonna say 27-17. I still don't think that Deshaun Watson is back to being Deshaun Watson. And I think that the Steelers will be able to get their offense back on track this week.
All right. We've been here for 40 minutes, so I want to, because I know you got some Starfield to play. Ravens Texans. Take care of business. Wasn't pretty, even though they kind of blew out the Texans. But they did come at a cost. But CJ Stroud, 28 for 44, 242 yards. Lamar Jackson, 17 for 22, 169 yards, 1 interception. You had, J.K. Dobbins running in for a touchdown, Justice Hill hitting 2 touchdowns. But the big story is J.K. Dobbins tearing his Achilles and is done for the year. Now, we had just talked about how he was holding out, trying to get his contract. He comes back to play, like kind of a good faith thing. And
that's exactly why he was, even flirting with the idea of holding out, right? Because, particularly for running backs, one play and it could be done. Not his ACL, his Achilles. But we talked about it last night on the Ravens Roundup.
Oh, sorry.
J.K. Dobbins could just be done at this point. This was his 4th season. He's missed 2 full years with an ACL tear and now an Achilles tear. And the league just doesn't value running backs like that. It could be a situation where he comes back healthy and he's ready to go, and teams just don't even bother giving him a shot. I think he's almost 100% done in Baltimore, right? Because he doesn't have a contract. I don't think they're gonna attempt to re-sign him. I think they'll just let him go and draft a replacement. And he might have to try and catch on somewhere as a backup and kind of hope to work his way back into a starting role. I mean, it's tough to see. He's got all the talent in the world. We wish him the best, but it's going to be a hard road for him, I think. Yeah.
Do you think that the Ravens should do right by him and bring him back next year?
I mean, in a perfect world where NFL teams actually cared about their players, absolutely. It's not his fault that he got hurt, right? His ACL tear happened when they were playing Washington in the preseason on a notoriously bad field, right? This is just kind of a injuries happen kind of thing. Ideally, I would try and bring him back. I'm sure that they're not going to want to pay him enough money that would make him want to stay in Baltimore at this point, right? But this is another trick of the salary cap. Hey, and you get fans on your side by saying, hey, we can't waste cap space on a guy who can't stay healthy, whereas you don't have the salary cap and you can keep a talent like J.K. Dobbins around and help him get back to 100%, and then he's going to be productive for you. But yeah, the way the NFL currently is, no real chance of that.
I love JK at Ohio State. Sad to see this happen. Yeah, very sad to see him. What's up, Ferris? Hope you're having a great day. I hope he bounced back. But This is almost, you know what this feels like, Rodney? And I hate to use this analogy. You know, when you're with that girl and she goes, you know, you just go, I have this bad feeling. I have this bad. No, don't worry about it. There's no bad feeling. No bad feeling. Okay. And then it just happens. That's how I feel. Because I mean, he gave what basically like almost like giving his word. Like, okay, I'll come back and play. Plays, gets hurt, and now you see people talking about, well, Ravens are just not going to bring him back. Like that is shitty. To be honest with you, and it's the business. It's the business. Like there's no way around it. I'm on a train with some hooligans. Pray for me.
You are a hooligan, Ferris.
Right? But it's the business. But I think if the Ravens want to save face, they at least give them something next year and try to give them an opportunity. Personally, I think that's what they should do, but I don't know. And it just sucks because you're right. He has all the talent. He's looked great as a running back, and then but he's gotten hurt, and especially ACL and torn Achilles. Those are tough. To come back from,
and especially because his value is probably going to be very low in large part because of the way Baltimore used him. They never made him the guy at running back, right? His most amount of carries in Baltimore was, I believe, 17. And that's something that was very frustrating for him. I mean, he said it publicly after their playoff loss that he wants the ball more. And, you know, he has the ability to be an every down back, you know, and take those touches. And they just never really gave him the chance to show that. So now you're a guy who has a career high of like 800 rushing yards, you know, a bit more than 800 rushing yards. And, you know, you don't have that reputation as a workhorse back because they never gave you that opportunity. And now you've got the injuries on top of it. So, yeah, but, you know, Baltimore's not concerned about doing the right thing.
That's shitty. No, I forgot to put it in here, but obviously, you know, Lamar didn't look great. We talked about it. We thought the offense was going to struggle.
Yeah.
They didn't look great. He threw an interception. It's the Texans. So you're kind of like, okay, but now you have the Bengals coming in, you know, come next week.
Mm-hmm.
What does the J.K. Dobbins injury do for Baltimore? And should they be concerned?
I don't think they should be concerned about the J.K. Dobbins injury. I think that's going to be the least impactful of the injuries they had. And I hate to say that because, again, you know, J.K. is a super talented player, but they've got, you know, Gus Edwards, they've got Justice Hill. They're going to bring Melvin Gordon back. But they should be fine in the run game. A lot of their run game is, you know, a lot of their success comes from the threat of Lamar running. So they'll be able to be productive. They won't be as productive as if JK was out there, but they'll be okay. What's really going to be a concern for them? One, Marcus Williams is out. Don't know how long he's out yet. He tore his pec, which could be a season-ending thing. They're saying that, you know, maybe it won't be quite season-ending, but he's obviously going to be out for an extended period. And their secondary, the way it is right now, that's going to be a concern, especially against the Cincinnati Bengals team. Coming off that embarrassing loss, they're going to want to bounce back, and they've got the weapons to bounce back. And the most concerning, Ronnie Stanley and their starting center, Tyler Linderbaum, both injured in week 1. They're saying they're both week to week, and they both might miss next week against Cincinnati. They both played against Houston, and they had a very difficult time protecting Lamar. And if one or both of those guys are out, it could get ugly for the offense again in terms of their pass protection. And they have to be able to give Lamar time and a clean pocket to throw from to operate this new offense. I think if they can protect Lamar, the offense will be just fine. But that's a big question mark right now.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a lot of people talking about that Stanley wasn't being able to block, things like that. I think Marcus Williams is going to show up next week versus the Bengals like this, torn pec and all, ready to play. if Cody Rhodes can play with the can wrestle with the torn pec, you should be able to.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, like I told Ferris, that's not real. So it's
That
not
was
as big a
real.
deal. No. I'm not saying his injury wasn't real. Obviously, his injury was real. And shout out to Cody for going out there with that injury and putting on a fantastic performance for the fans. But it was a scripted performance. So yeah.
It's real to me, Brodney. Okay.
I know, sir. I know.
Now, even though they dominated this match or this game, are you worried for them going versus the Bengals? Because, like you said, the Bengals are now, they got beaten up a little bit. Obviously, Joe Burrow is going to want to bounce back. That defense is going to want to bounce back. Should this be a concern for Baltimore? Should they just be able to walk into this game and kind of do what the Cleveland Browns did to the Cincinnati Bengals?
The concern for me with Baltimore is going to be if Stanley or Linderbaum can't play. If they're both healthy enough to go and play well, I think Baltimore wins that game. I do think that they knocked the rust off in this first game against Houston. I think the offense is going to be very, very explosive, particularly if they have Mark Andrews back, who didn't play in week 1 as well. The defense, I think, is at least the front seven is already there. Roquan and Patrick Queen were fantastic in week 1. Even Owe, he played very well in week 1. Ojabo got a strip sack late in the game, so he showed some signs of life. So I think defensively they'll be all right. You're always going to struggle to stop Cincinnati from throwing the ball with Burrow and Chase and Higgins, unless you're the Browns, apparently. But if they can keep Lamar upright, if they can give him time to throw, I would expect them to win that. And to be honest, I would expect them to win fairly easily. I'm not saying it's like a blowout, like a major blowout or anything, but I would expect them to win comfortably against Cincinnati. Now, if those guys, one or both of those guys, don't play and they're not able to protect Lamar, then I mean it's anybody's guess at that point.
We'll be definitely watching out for that, and we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to your team, Panthers versus Falcons. Young struggles in his first game. Now, I had said Kenny Pickett should only throw, 25 to 30 times. Apparently, the Panthers thought Young should throw 38 times. They threw him out there, threw the ball. Got a touchdown, though. His counterpart, Desmond Ridder, only threw for 18 out of 15 out of 18 and 115 yards for the touchdown. But Tyler Algier, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had a really good, solid running game. What did you see from Bryce? Did they depend on him too much on offense? And did you feel somewhat, okay with the game? Because at one point you guys did lead and you were playing well, but then obviously Atlanta in that fourth quarter.
Let's start with the positives from the game. Brian Burns was everywhere and doing everything. He was terrorizing the Falcons. Derek Brown as well. Both had just amazing games. They need to go ahead and give Brian Burns the contract that he's asking for immediately. The O-line played better than I thought that they would, or better than maybe we were expecting, given how they performed in the preseason. Not saying that they played great, but just that they played better than expected. I thought that Chuba Hubbard played better than I was expecting as well. I thought they were
Chupacabra?
Chuba Hubbard, backup running back out of Oklahoma State. I thought he had a nice day outside of not being able to convert on the 4th and short on the early drive. I thought they were going to have to lean almost exclusively on Miles Sanders. That wasn't really the case. They both ran fairly well. Bryce Young, it was tough to watch because if you listen to my show over on Lunch Break Hot Take, I was all on board the Bryce Young train all season long last year. And then that dude in the chat right there made me go back and watch Anthony Richardson again. And then I changed my mind. I said, you know what? You got to go with the upside of Anthony Richardson. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's Cam size almost, but the best athlete at quarterback the league has ever seen. Has a cannon for an arm, and despite what it looked like initially, it wasn't that he's always super inaccurate and just a bad player. It's just he was inexperienced. He needed more snaps. He had a very good game for Indianapolis at the same time that Bryce Young was having a not very good game in Carolina. So that sucked. But Bryce, I think if you watch, he's a very, very intelligent quarterback. Very, very intelligent. Yeah, that guy in the chat, that is your name. Bryce, he makes great decisions most of the time. I mean, he had a couple of interceptions. He didn't, and Jesse Bates is an all-pro safety, so I mean, it's not shocking that he got a couple of interceptions off of Bryce Young in his first game. But just generally speaking, Bryce, he makes really good decisions with the ball. He's a very accurate passer. He's not afraid to throw the ball away, which is, I kind of joked about it because he did it a lot in this game, but it's not something that most quarterbacks are comfortable doing. Most quarterbacks will hold on to the ball. They'll try to force passes in where there's really no window. And Bryce, when he saw that there was nothing going on, he just kind of launches it out of bounds, which is a good thing to see from a quarterback that young, I think. He's able to move in the pocket. He can get away from the pressure. The problem for Carolina is just that they did not get much of anything out of their wide receivers. Now their wide receivers were very banged up. DJ Chark didn't play at all, as is his usual thing on Sunday. But Adam Thielen, he played. He didn't look very good, but he was playing hurt. Terrace Marshall has had a back injury. He's been out for weeks. He came back. He's obviously not going to be 100%. Jonathan Mingo is a rookie wide receiver who they took in the second round this year. You can't really expect a guy like that to carry your offense in his first ever game. So they didn't have a lot of help offensively for Bryce Young. So the loss, it sucks because it's in division and they've got New Orleans next Monday night, which is kind of looking like a must-win game at this point. Because you can't go 0-2 in division, especially when it's kind of expected to be a tight division race. I think that this team will get better as the season goes on, but they've really got to start getting better right now.
Sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. You had an injury also in the defense with
yes,
J.C.
Horn.
J.C. Horn. How long is he expected to miss?
They haven't really said. They haven't said specifically. He's got a hamstring injury. They just said he's going to miss multiple weeks, so we don't know if that's going to be 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or So they haven't said specifically. We're going to have to wait to find that out. JC's probably the only reliable corner on the team, so that's going to hurt. But they do have good safety play. With Jeremy Chin and Von Bell and Xavier Woods, and they have depth at safety as well. So those guys are going to have to really step up, and they're just going to be looking for more from Brian Burns, Justin Houston, Frankie Louvu, Derek Brown, Gross Matos, in terms of actually getting after the quarterback and making it uncomfortable for those guys. Until JC can come back and kind of help out the back end as well.
There you go. Bijan completely dominated. I mean, he had 50-something yards. And that's not really dominant to me.
He didn't have a ton of touches.
Yeah, and he had 27. He had 27 receiving yards. I mean, okay.
The thing with Bijan, he didn't have a whole lot of touches, but I mean, Jesus, like when he did touch the ball, he looked special. The one touchdown pass that Desmond Ridder had was it was a 0-yard pass essentially to Bijan Robinson, right? He catches the ball. He catches the ball, and Frankie Louvu is one of the Panthers linebackers. Really a pass rush specialist, but he's a quick guy. He's out there to make the tackle, and Bijan hits him with basically kind of a step back immediately after catching the ball, and Lou will just blows by him, right? So, I mean, the move itself was very impressive, but then after that, he got going again, great acceleration. He's going down the field, and it was Shaq Thompson, and I cannot remember the second defender. I know Jay probably remembers it, but both guys hit him, and he ran right through them like they weren't even there. And went to the end zone. He's a special talent for Atlanta.
And people said not to draft him. People were like,
yeah, look, the reason, and I thought it was a bad pick for them. Not gonna lie, I thought that he was going to be a great player. Von Bell and Shaq Thompson. So the safety and their best linebacker both hit him at the same time and just kind of bounced off him. But yeah, no, he's one of the best talents in the draft. But they have Cordero Patterson, who was a 1,000-yard rusher a couple of years ago, and is a pretty versatile player on offense. And then the guy you mentioned earlier, Tyler Algier, who was a rookie last season, who also ran for over 1,000 yards for them. And then he had 70-some yards and 2 touchdowns in week 1. So I thought they just had areas of bigger
more
need.
concern. Yeah.
But I mean, he's going to be a great player.
All right. Well, we've already been here an hour, so we got some other things to get through. So we're gonna do some rapid fire with the week 2 schedule. Bring it up, and let's just pick them. And I know I'll be doing a video on TikTok, picking my picks, and I'm actually gonna try to do a video tonight to go over the picks I did last week. But let's start with Thursday. It's September 14th, Minnesota versus Philly. Who do you got, Brandy?
Philly, big.
I got Philly also. Sunday, let's go to Green Bay at Atlanta. Who do you got?
It damn well better be Green Bay at this point.
Love is look good. Jimmy Garoppolo versus Josh Allen. Who do you got?
Got to take Buffalo bouncing back off of that loss, and the Raiders just aren't very good.
Baltimore at Cincinnati.
This one's tough because, like you said, there's a lot of injury speculation going on here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Ravens.
Okay, actually, I haven't even said who I'm picking, so let me go back. I'll take Philly. I'm going to take Atlanta because you just said Bijan was special. I think Bijan's going to have a 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns. I am going to take Cincinnati because it is at home. Seattle versus Detroit.
You missed one.
Oh, Vegas versus Vegas. Yeah. I'll take Buffalo. Oh my God, Seattle versus Detroit. Who do you got? Did you see that video?
I did. That was hilarious. I love Gino, man. I love Gino. Taking Detroit though.
Taking Detroit. Let me put the chat and see who we got. Jeremy taking the Eagles. Jeremy taking the Falcons. Jeremy taking the Ravens, Lions, Bills. Jay taking the Bengals. Yeah. Oh my God. Seattle, Detroit. Who'd you take?
I'm taking the Lions in that one.
Okay, I'm taking the Lions also. LA Chargers versus Tennessee. That wild shootout for the Chargers is still lost.
It's crazy, man. They have such bad luck over there, but I'm taking the Chargers to win this one. Yeah,
I'm definitely taking the Chargers over Tennessee. Chicago at Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield. Who you got?
Not Baker. I'm definitely taking Chicago to bounce back off that beatdown in week 1.
I'm taking get in the weight room, Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield. Kansas City at Jacksonville. They got Chris Jones back. Do you think their defense is going to be able to stop Jacksonville?
I think they will. I think they bounce back from that loss and they get their first win.
Can I ask a question? Who is Mahomes throwing to?
He's going to be, hopefully he's going to be throwing to Travis Kelce. But I don't think that Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore will ever play that poorly again. I really don't.
See, I don't know if you know this, but Travis Kelce said he was going to keep the stash until they lost, and then he lose week 1. That is a sign to get rid of the stash.
That's right.
I will take Jacksonville. Indianapolis at Houston. Who do you got?
That's a tough one right there, man. I'm gonna take the Colts, I think.
Yeah, I think AR is gonna show up and do some damage. I don't think Houston's that good.
Yeah.
San Francisco at the Rams. The Rams look pretty good.
San
Who you got?
Francisco's going to beat the hell out of the Rams.
San Francisco's gonna beat them like that person got beat with a chair on the riverboat. New York Giants versus Arizona. Can we just cancel this game?
I know.
Can't we just cancel? This is a bad game.
Arizona looked or showed up much better than I expected in week 1. The Giants didn't show up at all. I'm expecting a Giants win, but I am no longer confident at all.
That's right, Ricky and Ricky collision for Indianapolis versus Houston. Who are you taking? The Giants, Arizona?
Yes, Giants.
The answer isn't who, it's just yes. I'm gonna take Arizona. I don't think the Giants are gonna do anything. Zach Wilson gonna come back, or unless it's Tom Brady versus the Cowboys. Who you got?
Not Zach Wilson. Going with Dallas.
I got
That's the answer every week, by the way. Not Zach Wilson.
Washington versus Denver. The Commanders didn't look that bad.
They didn't look that good either, but it's Denver, so I'm taking Washington.
I'll take Washington too. My upset of the week, even though it didn't look like an upset, Miami versus New England. I mean, Miami versus the Chargers. I think Miami's that team looks good, so I'm gonna take Miami.
Yeah, I think that's the you're looking at the division champion right there. I'm taking the Dolphins as well.
All right, and Monday night, just to let everybody know real quick before we pick our 2 Monday night games, I will have a special Steer Conspiracy podcast, Suge birthday hangout. My birthday is Saturday, but I'll be doing, because the Steelers are playing on Monday, I'll be watching the Steeler game. So come hang out with me. I know Coach has a stream. After Coach's stream, you guys come hang out. Whoever wants to join the stream, I'll send you StreamYards. We'll come hang out. I put 5 o'clock because I thought it was only 1 game, but it's apparently 2. So maybe when Bronny is done with Coach, he'll come on. We'll be watching the Panthers win the game, and we'll do that. So maybe I know Bronny doesn't like to do watch-alongs, but maybe he'll show up. But Bronny, New Orleans versus Carolina.
Carolina all day.
There you go. Carolina all day. I actually think Carolina's going to bounce back. I think Carolina and Bryce Young's going to throw for 2 touchdowns, and they're going to win the game. And they're going to pick off David or Derek or whoever's back there 2 times. And then we got the nightcap in Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh. Who you got?
I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Thank you. I feel good. I think I know you're doing it as a birthday gift. I appreciate it. I really do.
Nah.
I am also taking Pittsburgh. I think the score is going to be – I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to say it's going to be 20 to 17 Pittsburgh.
I'm sticking with 27-17.
Well, you are a brave man.
They're going to get that offense rolling.
You're a brave man. And look at these bastards in there. Browns.
Get to Pickens.
All right. We already did week 2 picks. All right. This has become one of my favorite things to do with Bronny. I throw him a topic. We pick a top 5 of something. And this week it is top 5 sports movies.
That's right.
Now, Bronny, I don't have your list. I have the movies in order, but I don't have your list. But so was it 1 through 5 was your list, I believe?
Well, I mean, I gave it to you 1 through 5.
Okay.
But I've got the list here. Yeah,
I'm gonna start with 5. So you go and say 5, and then if that's the correct,
so
one,
you can make sure that the other one.
Yeah.
Number 5, the 5th greatest sports movie of all time, Little Giants.
I'm right, Little Giants.
That's right.
This is a great movie. It is one of the best, just all around feel good movies. I really enjoy it. The Icebox, I had a crush on her till I was like 15, and this movie was kind of like the game between the Giants and the Cowboys. That was literally Rick Moranis coaching the Giants versus the Cowboys this week, and that's why they lost. But why do you like this movie, Bronny? Or what is it about?
It's obviously a kids movie, right? But it was one of those rare kids movies that's entertaining for adults as well. I think it holds up very well. Ed O'Neill. I mean, Rick Moranis is good in the movie. Ed O'Neill is a comedic genius.
Yes.
I love Ed O'Neill, and the kids I thought all did a very good job. It was funny all the way through. Like I said, it holds up. Like I said, it's a feel good movie. There's just I don't really have any negatives for Little Giants.
Great movie. Great movie. I love it. All right. Number 4.
Number 4, taking a turn in terms of the tone, He Got Game, starring Denzel Washington and Jesus Shuttlesworth. Ray Allen.
And you forget how, like, when you think of Ray Allen, you think of 3-point shooting. But this was at a time when this guy was like the guy and was really like
he could do everything.
Yeah,
he could do everything.
Now this movie's great.
Yes.
Have you heard of the story though that it was supposed to be at the end of the game, at the end of the movie? Spoiler alert. They play for obviously the father plays him. Says if I win, you sign this thing. If not, I'll leave you alone. It was supposed to be a 0 to whatever the score was. I think it was a 13 because usually he plays to 13.
I forget. Yeah, I forget exactly what they're playing to.
And Spike Lee told Denzel, and Denzel says, "I'm not losing 0." And that scene where he scores, Ray Allen's kind of like looking around, like, "Wait a minute, I thought it was supposed to be 0."
Right.
And then he doesn't score again. That's because Denzel said, "You ain't. I'm not losing 0." But this movie was really good. It's a very passion, emotional movie because it has to do with, obviously fathers in jail, especially a black father, but kids that have had their fathers go to jail, not being there in their lives. It has to do with corruption, obviously, trying to get him to do something he doesn't want. I believe the school's right. I haven't watched it in a while, but it was the school's trying to get him to go to a different school. I
forget who initiated it, but they let him out of jail specifically to go and recruit his son to the school that they wanted him to go to.
Yeah.
I forget who it was, like I said, who initiated it, but that was the entire reason that he was even let out of jail.
Ray was posterizing ninjas when he was on the Bucks. He was. That Ray Allen, I would have loved to see play Kobe before he became the sharpshooter he was. He was supposed to be 11-0, but Denzel played on his high school basketball team, so he was like, "I'm a man with pride." Yeah, and Spike Lee tells the story all the time. It's a great story to hear about, but that is a great movie. Sorry, go ahead and say what you said about it.
I pretty much agree with what you say. Now, and I know Spike Lee has a very, very distinct style, and you're really either gonna love or hate Spike Lee's movies. I happen to really enjoy them, and Denzel Washington is my favorite actor of all time. And I thought Ray Allen did a very good job in that role, and it's just a story that really draws you in. And like I said, there's a lot of just different elements to it. Very well acted, well written, well directed. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right, let's go to number 3.
Number 3. Struggle with this one. I originally had another movie, actually Denzel movie in this spot, Remember the Titans, but I was like, no, gonna kick that one out for another football movie, Friday Night Lights, starring Billy Bob Thornton.
This movie takes me back to football, even though I played 1 year of high school football, and this was in Texas, so California's kind of different, but this movie brings that out, just that passion that the cities would get. The expectations of a school when you go to a high school and you're like supposed to be state champs and all this stuff, and just like how much pressure we put on kids in high school sports. But go ahead and talk about it and why you like it.
Again, a lot of the reasons that you said, I thought it was a great sort of exploration of that kind of that world, right? That only really exists in a couple places in this country, where football is king over everything. And it has one of my favorite lines. I mean, it's not any kind of profound line or anything. I just thought it was hilarious at the time, early on in the movie. I believe right after a loss, somebody is calling into the local radio show and talking about, I'll tell you what the problem is. There's too much learning going on in the schools.
That's the problem right there.
But yeah, I thought, again, a lot of great performances in this one. Derek Luke is Booby Miles. And that was just a
That's
very,
sad.
very, very sad story. Very sad.
That is sad. Especially when he gets in the car after he gets his stuff and he's telling his guys, he's like, "You got this," da 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 da, and he gets in the car and just breaks down to his dad. Like I felt that, like that, and also too is that scene where they're in a championship game and the guy they call him preacher, I believe, and his halftime speech like that got me. I was like, dude, I'll run through a wall right now for that guy. Like how he's like, they did 2 days, we did 2 days, we bled, we played in 104 heat, and just that excitement for football is always great to see. But at a young age, because obviously those actors were all 21, 22 playing high schoolers, but it's very interesting to watch and to see, and I really enjoyed it, and it brought out a lot of emotions. So I 100% agree with you. That's great.
Great talk about movie miles again, like that was at the time. This movie is set in I believe like the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere right around in there. I forget the exact year, but that was the time when an injury like he had a torn ACL ended careers. And he was gonna be the man, not just in terms of being a football player, being famous and all that, but the man in his family. And it all got snatched away. I mean, in the movie, it was a dirty hit and everything. But to see him, try and come back into the game, really, really soon after the injury, telling everybody he's all right, and just because he couldn't accept that he wasn't going to be that guy anymore, and then come in and have his knee just give out on him again. And then, like you said, the scene in the car where it's really all just hitting him all at once, that that football is over. But yeah, I thought it was a great, very authentic kind of movie about the high school football in Texas and everything that comes with it.
Absolutely. Well, great pick. All right, what's your number? I believe that was number 3. Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. This one it's I think this would probably land on everybody's list at some point. It's the first Rocky, and this is another one that really holds up surprisingly well. And I was born in the early 80s, right? So by the time I was old enough to watch like real action movies, because Sylvester was and Arnold at that point, right?
Yeah.
By the time I was really old enough to watch him, he was just in those kind of action movies where you're just given one-liners and stuff blows up and everything. I watched Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes.
Great movie. Great movie.
I love Demolition Man, but I you don't really see him. He wasn't stressing the acting skills very much in those movies.
No.
But you go back and you watch Rocky, and he is, he is acting in that movie, and it's very believable. The scene when he's at his house and talking about kind of essentially just being poor and not being good enough, and that whole speech that he's going on, it hits home. You really feel it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that despite the fact that the boxing scenes are just unbelievably goofy, they still draw you in. You still got the back and forth and everything, but it's nothing even.
That's not real boxing.
It's nothing approaching realism, but it brings you in. They have the over the top characters, and it's it's the all-time underdog story, and everybody loves an underdog. Get the hell out of here with
Rocky
horses, Ferris.
Rocky to me, and we're kind of born the same time, Bronny. Rocky 3 has always been my Rocky movie, surprisingly. And as I gotten older, it's actually gotten way down, and Rocky 1 has moved up. Because I love Rocky 3. My cake when I was a kid, I wanted Mr. T and Rocky. I wanted Clubber Lang and Rocky on my cake, and my mom got me the toys. I wish I had those damn toys now because they would be amazing. But that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I watched Rocky 3 religiously as a kid. But it's kind of slipped down, and Rocky 1 has kind of slipped to number 2 behind one of my other favorite Rocky movies, which is not even great, but it's just something about my Rocky that I put on my list that I love. But Rocky 2 has become my number 2 favorite Rocky movies of all time. And I love Creed a lot, but Rocky, to me, that one, the story it tells and the emotion and everything like that I've always loved. And now they got goofier, but then they got like more entertaining later because that was like a real movie. That was like a real movie. And then like 2, 3, 4 kind of got goofy, and everything that.
Like Apollo got killed in an exhibition match. Like it was
the greatest. That was a bad. What are you talking about? It was the greatest thing in the world. His body flops. He's Apollo. Yeah, and oh my God, that meme. Throw the damn towel.
Bro, that's your job.
Ferris says, "What's wrong with the horses? You hate horses?"
No, you know who hates horses, Ferris? The people who make them run. That's who hates horses.
You're over there beating them to make them run. All right, let's go to your number one movie, which I am very surprised about, but I absolutely love this movie.
I kind of struggle with putting this at number one because it's not a movie, obviously, but it's a documentary. When We Were Kings, about the Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman. I just, the telling the whole story of both those guys and where they were at in their careers. Really, it's kind of a theme with Muhammad Ali, but really kind of unfairly painting George Foreman as not really black, kind of, and but seeing also, Don King, also being a big boxing fan, seeing Don King in his younger days and how he was, putting these events together. They had that huge concert with everybody who mattered at all in the 70s in music, which is another reason, phenomenal soundtrack. But being able to just see Ali, being himself, going around, seeing him with the people, seeing him getting ready for the fight. And then obviously they go into the fight and we all know what happened there, an incredibly dramatic moment in boxing history. But I thought it did just a great job of telling the story of that event, and one of the biggest events in like I said, in the history of boxing.
Absolutely. This is one of my favorite fights. It's one of the biggest fights. We've talked about this so many times of how this fight changed boxing. It changed the direction.
Changed the course of history.
It changed the course of history because if George Foreman doesn't lose that fight, he's probably the most dominant boxers ever because he was killing people. Yeah. And that fight messed him up bad. And then it sent Ali to another stratosphere. And we've talked about the controversy with the fight before with Frazier and Ali, where that was controversial. So that fight maybe should have never happened, but things happen for a reason. It obviously pushed Ali to another stratosphere in the boxing community. It's a really great documentary, a really good movie overall. And I 100% agree with everything you said about it. So yeah, I think that's a great list. To be honest with you, every movie's great. Everyone's classic. Now, for me, some of the movies I picked, it's my opinion, so don't take it the wrong way. Okay, but these are movies I think are the best sports movies. Now, the first one, which is number 5, you're gonna say it's not a sports movie, but it is to me because it had hockey, it had extreme sports, and it had one of the best. It just had one of the best racing scenes ever. If you know what I'm talking about. It is Airborne. This movie, I love this movie. It is one of the best movies ever made. It has a young Jack Black. It has Seth Green in it. It has Little Joker in it. Like, the movie is just great, and the racing scene is amazing. And if you haven't watched this movie, check it out.
I have not. I've never even heard of this movie.
It even has surfing in this movie. It is a great movie, but it has a racing scene that just is phenomenal. You were close. I had Airborne, not Airborne. It's a great movie though. Check it out if you haven't seen it. All right, my number 4.
Yes,
and evidently and coincidentally, this is the number 4 entry in this franchise. Rocky 4. Now, let me tell you something. When those 2 gloves hit in the beginning of that movie, I knew it was going to be great. Okay?
Yeah.
This movie is a soundtrack. It's not even a movie. It's just music videos put together with a little bit of boxing. How they don't throw in the towel in the first round of the fight between Drago and Rocky is beyond me because he gets knocked down like 6 times.
I know. It's incredible.
And the man looks like he's getting just absolutely beat with a stick during that whole fight. But when Duke has him in the corner, when Drago gets cut, and he takes it back to the corner and say, "You heard him. You see, he's not a machine. He's a man." I lost it. I was like, "This is the greatest movie ever." You know, like
I swear to God, during that fight, he knocked Rocky down, and the ref didn't even stop it. He just let Rocky get back up, and he kept on beating on him. I'm like, what sport even is this? I don't understand. But it was amazing.
It was absolutely the training montage, everything like that. Yeah, no easy way out. Go listen to that song. That song is amazing. Yes, exactly. It's just montages. There's nothing else in that movie but montages, which is why I love that movie. It's one of my favorite. But Rocky 2 is always my favorite. But Rocky 4 and Rocky have moved up. Creed, obviously. So I would say like Rocky 4, Creed, switch between Creed and Rocky, and then Creed, and then Creed 2, then Rocky 3, Rocky 2, things like that. That's kind of where I go. This next one.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
My last thought on Rocky 4, and it's movies like that in general. It's okay for movies to just be fun sometimes, right? And listen, if you're gonna be fun, you have to commit to it. And you got to go over the top. Right? Like,
I forgot that movie. God damn it! I gotta move. All right, Airborne's out. Over the Top is in. Yeah, no. But all right, my next movie. Every time I watch this movie, I cry. And every time it's hard for me not to cry this movie because one thing, if you don't know about me and my brother don't have the greatest relationship, and I always wanted to have that relationship with my brother. But when it comes to sports and brothers, it's always a thing for me. For some reason, I enjoy that. And when I see two brothers play and things like that. But this movie, every time I watch it, I cry every time I watch it. The Sixth Man. Comical as hell, really funny.
Unexpected amount of heart in that movie.
Oh my dude! Well, when he's talking about with his brother, and you know how his brother said, "I didn't want to die. Like I didn't want this to happen to me. I had plans." Mm-hmm. That gets me. You know, when he's talking to his team about how we have to go out there and play for my brother, that gets me. It's the NCAA tournament. That was dope. It's just so many things about it. I will say, as funny as Marlon Wayans is, he does give a lot of heart in this movie, which is why I loved it. And it's one of my movies. When I watch it, I cry all the time. Like it just gets me. You know, when they tell him, Joanna, man. Oh yeah, it wasn't a sanctioned fight. Yeah, what was it? Okay, so it's not a sanctioned fight. It's not even
You still have rules, fam. It wasn't a street fight.
But the Sixth Man, Rodney, I know we've talked about this. You enjoyed this movie. Is it a? Again, this is just my choice. This isn't. If we had to really put a list together, maybe the Sixth Man wouldn't be on there. But I think it's a very good movie and would be in my top 10 of sports movies. But
I love the Sixth Man for all the reasons you said. And I thought that Marlon and Kadeem both gave great performances. And you know, I think a lot of times, like 99% of the time, comedies fall apart in that third act because they try to, you know, bring the story together and it gets more serious and it's not believable and it's just you know, you don't really want to watch the end of a comedy most of the time. But I thought that they did a fantastic job of keeping you engaged all the way through. And even though it was very funny, it did hit, you know, it hit home, like I said, on, you know, if you have a brother, if you ever had, you know, lost someone close to you or you know, any kind of anything that would even remotely relate to it, you know, it really, they did a great job of just sending that emotional message all the way through. Which comedies don't usually they don't usually land in that way.
100% agree. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. My second movie, I know you're not gonna like this one because it's a sport you don't like, but it's again it's a movie that when I watch it,
is it the Keanu Reeves movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is a one that a lot of people don't watch a lot, and it's one that you would think a lot of people would think of another Kevin Costner movie and not this one, but is For the Love of the Game. It's one of my
Oh,
favorite movies. It's about a pitcher. He's at the end of his career. He's going to pitch one last game, uh, and it's like against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And he's like, it chronicles his life as a pitcher as
mhm.
he's pitching the game, and then he realizes toward the end he's pitching a perfect game, and he's like pitching against a guy that he played with that's on the Yankees now, and it just goes over his relationship with the woman that he fell in love with, and over the years of their relationship, he had like Tommy's or he cut his hand accidentally uh, in a saw accident, and it was his pitching hand. So it was a bunch of stuff. It's just a movie that I've always loved, and every time it comes on, I watch it or I search it out. Um, and so it's just a movie I love. Here's a question for you, Bronny. What's your favorite baseball movie?
Um, favorite baseball movie. That is a good question.
Hardball. Oh my god, I
No,
forgot about Hardball.
no, it's not.
Hardball was
It's
great.
not that one. It's not that one. I liked Moneyball. I don't know how much you really want to call that a baseball movie, necessarily, right? Because it's about it's a statistician's movie, really.
Yeah.
Uh, I know this is a bad movie, but I enjoyed The Fan with Robert De
Okay.
Niro and Wesley Snipes. But again, not really a baseball movie. I thinking back, there's two that really stand out to me. I mean, I always loved Rookie of the Year and Angels in the Outfield when I was younger.
Yes.
So I thought,
Yes.
I thought those were great. But the two that really stand out, I loved A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks and
Great
Rosie
movie.
O'Donnell, Gina Davis, and all. And then the Soul of the Game with Delroy Lindo, about Satchel Paige, the other Negro League players when
Yeah.
it was Blair Underwood was Jackie Robinson, and Satchel thought he and Josh Gibson they were kind of going back and forth on who was going to be the guy who kind of broke that color barrier, and then it was Jackie Robinson. But I love the way they told that story. I thought Delroy and I forget the other guy's name, the guy who played Josh Gibson. He also had a basketball series on Showtime for a while, like a long
Yeah.
time ago, that I really loved that I think nobody remembers. But I thought they were great. Blair Underwood obviously was very good in the movie, and I think it's a story that is important to tell, that people don't really think about too often. The best players possibly in baseball history kind of get shoved off to the side because they weren't allowed to play in the MLB, and it's just fine,
And
I guess.
then you got a fat white guy that smokes cigars that is supposedly the best player ever. But we won't talk about that. All those movies I agree with you. I think Little Big League was always one of my favorites.
Mhm.
And obviously Rookie of the Year, The Sandlot was always good, but it wasn't.
Yeah, love the Sandlot.
Sandlot was more of like a summer movie, like it was
coming of age kind of.
Yeah. But I will tell you, A League of Their Own, when Madonna sings, every time it hits me, I do get teary eyed, because that's a great movie, and that soundtrack is amazing.
But there's no crying in baseball, right?
But there's no crying in baseball, and Tom Hanks is amazing in that movie. And the sad when they have to tell which husband died, and the stupid mailman's like, "Oh, I don't have the thing. I'll just have to come back later." And Tom Hanks throws him out, and they have to tell the lady that her husband died in the war. So it's very sad, but it's a great movie. All right, my number one sports movie. Now this one hits a special place for me, and it's not fake wrestling; it's real wrestling. But if you were around in the 80s, it had that Madonna soundtrack. It also had an older woman sleeping with a younger kid, which is now when you look at it, you're like, this was not appropriate. But it's one of the best high school wrestling movies ever. If you ever want to check this out, check it out. I will say this though, when it comes to high school wrestling, there's another movie that had John Cena in it. I don't remember the name right now, but that movie's pretty damn good, and it comes close to this one. But this is one of my favorite movies of all time, Vision Quest, and this is an '80s movie through and through.
My God, it looks like it,
and it is '80s hardcore '80s movie. But the premise of this movie is this guy who wrestled at a higher weight wants to wrestle a guy that is undefeated for the last 4 years, and it's the last match, or their schools wrestle the last
That's
meet
like the
of the
last
year.
meet. Yeah.
So he's trying to get down in weight to wrestle this guy, and his vision quest is to beat this guy because he's never been beat. So he goes to the guy and says, "Hey, I'm gonna drop and I'm gonna wrestle you." And it's just kind of his journey. And he meets this girl, and the girl ends up being older, and he's still in high school. And they they go at it, and he's like, "Well, screw the vision quest. I'm in love with her now, so screw this." And she's like, "No, you need to do it." And it's so 80s. And right before his big match is this hardcore rock 80s workout scene, and then it goes into the match.
Big on the montages.
Big on the montages. I mean, I enjoy his montages, but it's one of my favorite movies. Check it out; it's really good. And I loved it. That movie being your favorite makes sense. Shut up, because I was a wrestler. All right.
I think that maybe not what he was referring to, but yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what he was referring to. Before we get out of here, Bronny, it's not really. Oh, Jeremy shut up his list. He says Rocky, Warrior, The Wrestler, Field of Dreams, Happy Gilmore. It's a good list. I like it. I never actually got to watch The Warrior full through, so Field of Dreams. Shit, I'm gonna say this. I hope nobody gets mad. I find it very overrated. Happy Gilmore. Sure. I would take Tin Cup over Happy Gilmore. I was always a big Tin Cup person.
Big Kevin Costner person, it sounds like.
I am.
Where was Draft Day?
Emotional trauma. We have a Legendary. Legendary. Check that movie out. It's a really good movie with John Cena. It's about high school wrestling, and a brother, like a brother movie. It's really like a younger brother, older brother movie with wrestling involved. Very good. It's one of my favorite movies to watch. I feel Field of Dreams is overrated. I just don't care for it. It's good, but he built a field to throw a ball with his dad.
It's a dumbass movie. I mean, no offense to anybody who likes the movie. You like what you like, but I mean,
all the people are going to comment now. I have not watched Yellowstone. No. All right, before we get out of here, Bronny, kind of some short SVD talk. How's Starfield going?
It's SDV.
SDV. That's what I said. When I said STD,
you said SVD. Just making it closer and closer every week. Starfield is going amazing. I got a free ship yesterday. It is a garbage ass ship. It doesn't have any shields. It doesn't have any weapons. But you know what? It's mine. Okay, it's mine, and I got it for free. And today I answered the distress call and saved a bunch of people from these spacers, which are just kind of generic, kind of gang members or whatever. Cleaned out a whole bunch of them. I blew up. I'm a dumbass movie. Okay, thanks, Ferris. Blew up a whole bunch of ships. I'm very close to being able to pilot Class B ships. Which I mean, it's going to be a game changer for me. But it is amazing. I'm still loving it.
I started it and then I haven't been able to play because I'm not going to lie, and you're going to be upset when you hear this. I've been stuck on Fortnite. Shout out to Jay.
Bro.
Shout out to Jay. I've been stuck on Fortnite, but I'm going to get on Starfield. I don't know. You didn't stream Saturday. So I wanted to get your thoughts. Is your Adesanya lost to Strickland?
Yeah, we don't stream after UFC fights. We talk about that.
Yeah, you usually do.
No, we stream after boxing matches, but that wasn't a big enough fight. Sometimes we will.
It really wasn't. That card was exciting because some of the early fights were good and knockouts and good fights. But there was nothing exciting. I was like totally forgot about this card.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't. Their cards are usually pretty decent in the UFC. I mean, there's a lot of talented fighters in the UFC, and so they'll put on good shows, but they don't promote their fighters enough, and it's just not exciting. My thoughts on Israel, like he looked at times in that fight, he looked old, like he had gotten old. You know what I mean? And that's something you see with a lot of fighters who like to counterpunch and and have that kind of style where they get old and they just start to get caught. That's what happened, what happened with Israel Adesanya. I mean, sorry, Anderson Silva. When he got a bit older, you can't. Obviously it happened to Roy Jones quite a bit. He did not take those hints and quit. He just kept on taking the knockouts. But yeah, you hate to see that. I don't know that's all it is with Adesanya. But he just kind of looked that way to me. He looked a little gassed too towards the end of the fight.
You want me to be honest with you, brother?
Yeah.
I don't think he was interested in this fight.
I don't think.
Not that he wasn't interested. Like I don't think he was like, oh, I'm gonna have a problem with this guy. I think
I believe he just looked past him. I mean,
yeah.
He didn't think that Strickland could give him that kind of a fight.
Was it a boring fight? Because what Strickland did, yeah, but he walked forward. I don't think he did anything crazy. Like the first knockdown.
Fight. I don't even think it was boring. I mean, I enjoy the kind of the cat and mouse thing. In fights. So I don't think it was boring, and I thought that meant I thought Strickland was masterful defensively.
Yes.
Like it was like Israel couldn't touch him, which is unheard of for Adesanya.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Strickland fought a great fight. Adesanya didn't. Especially towards the end when he knew he was losing, it didn't seem like he really had it in him, or like he said, he didn't have the interest to really go after it, and he was just like, okay, I'll lose a decision, whatever.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it was boring in the sense like, I was like, I don't want to watch this. It felt like all I kept seeing was Strickland going forward, and like you said, defensively, just going forward defensively, like not taking a lot of risk, other than when he caught him, like he went for it. But what I did like about that was when he went for it and seeing that he wasn't going to get it, he didn't like go back out there and try to do it. He just went back to his plan. Okay, I'm just going to press forward defensively. You're not going to hit me, and I'm going to catch you. And he looked like he just beat Izzy up. Face. If you looked at his face, you would have thought like, damn, Izzy got beat up. So it's very interesting. I'm wondering what they're going to do now with this whole situation, because Duplessis. The rumor was he didn't want to take the fight versus Izzy, which is very like, well, why'd you talk all that shit then? And I feel like he better not come down and fight Strickland, beat Strickland, and then because I think that's just a pussy move. Brendan Schaub was talking today. I saw a clip where he was and it's kind of stupid, but he was like, well, I don't think Izzy should get a title fight right away.
Yeah, Cormier said that too on the actual broadcast after the fight. I'm like, that's nonsense. Like
yeah,
because they said, oh, he got the rematch after Pereira, but I don't think they should do it. Do it this time. Like he was the champion. It doesn't matter if how the performance went or whatever. He's the champion.
If he had got knocked out or dominated, yeah.
I don't even agree with that. Like if it's gonna mean something, being the champ and defending, then he's got to have the opportunity to have a rematch. I mean, if he says, hey, I don't want a rematch, cool. But he's dominated that division for how long, right? And he lost to Pereira, and he came right back and knocked Pereira out.
People are bringing up his light heavyweight, and they're like, "Well, see, he's lost 3 fights in the last." I'm like, really?
I thought he won that fight against Blachowicz, but whatever. But just talking in terms of the middleweights, like he's dominated that division. He's beaten everybody in that division a couple times. Outside of obviously Strickland and Pereira. But you don't just look at him and say, "Hey, yeah, I know you're an all-time great and you were the champion and all this stuff, but no rematch for you." Yeah, go prove yourself by beating all those guys who you've already beaten twice.
You know what? I hate to agree with him right now, and if he's in the chat, he'll probably hear this. But as Jose was saying, maybe you do that, and Izzy takes off to that Saudi Arabia PFL thing, and says, "All right, well, you guys do me like this, I can go over here and make more money, and I'm gonna get treated better." Because this is kind of shitty if you do that to I will agree with Jose. If they do that to him, then maybe he should leave UFC, because that's kind of shitty. Yeah. The guy was one of your biggest money makers, and he lost, and you're gonna say, well, no rematch, like.
Yeah, especially in because you see some. I'm not gonna say a lot of times, but you see sometimes in boxing as well as MMA when you have these kind of fights where the contender is not really well thought of or not that well thought of, and people don't really think they have a chance. You'll see champions kind of look past them and sometimes get upset, and then they'll take a rematch and dominate a rematch because now they're locked in, right? Not saying for sure that that'll happen in this fight. Like I said, he looked disinterested. He looked a little bit old. He looked a little bit slow. But you have to give him the opportunity if he wants it.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll get some better fights because these cards have not been the greatest. And I forgot. It wasn't till someone reminded me about it that I was like, oh shit. And I want to keep getting out of here, but a lot of stuff happened. We didn't get to talk about it.
You are going to get better fights, by the way, in the
PFL. Colorado beat Nebraska.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. This USC to Colorado game might be really good.
I'll tell you what, I was a little bit disappointed in Colorado in that game, just because it took them a while. It took a while for them to really kind of get going and start to pull away. Nebraska's bad. Now, I want to see.
Why are you going to talk about your old coach like that?
I'm not even talking about coach. Like I said, I'm not a Ravens fan. I don't hold grudges against coaches like that. He's gone, whatever. But the team is bad. And he essentially admitted it himself. He said, "You know what you get when you hire me. It's not an overnight thing." So Nebraska's bad. I do want to see how they perform against Oregon, right? Because Oregon,
because they got Colorado State next, right?
Yeah, I believe it's Colorado State. But then week 4 is Oregon. Week 5 is USC. So they got those two back to back.
They're undefeated. If they're undefeated,
they're gonna be undefeated going into Oregon for sure. And
but if they're undefeated going to USC,
Oregon's very talented. I think Oregon's a much better team than them. But Oregon is a team who quite frequently will allow lesser teams to beat them. Like that's kind of.
I don't know if Colorado's a lesser team.
They are.
Maybe
they're a lesser team. Like they haven't played anybody yet, really. Okay. They're now, and listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from the guys they do have. They have some high end talent in Shador and Travis Hunter, but I think I'm talking about top to bottom. They're not on the level of a USC or Oregon or some of the other top schools in the country, and which is, I mean, they were a 1-win team last year.
And they've already doubled their wins.
Yeah, right.
and people said he was only going to win 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, and
he's at 2, and he's going to be at 3 next week.
It's tough because I mean they have a pretty soft schedule, right? So they'll be bowl eligible. Yeah, no, for sure. But they'll be bowl eligible, but it's going to be, I don't even like to look at records so much in college football. It's going to be, how do you perform against Oregon? How do you perform against USC? Two teams like that is what is really going to, kind of tell me what your team is about. So I don't think there's much chance of them beating USC. I don't think they're going to be really competitive with USC, and I wouldn't expect that in year 1. But I'm very, very interested to see how they perform against Oregon. Oregon almost lost this past week to Texas Tech.
Jeremy brought it up to Texas Tech. Shout out to Texas Tech that had Patrick Mahomes.
But they won on a last second, essentially, pick 6. They were winning at that point, but that sealed it. That was a very entertaining game. But Oregon, they played down to their level of competition a lot. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that game goes.
All right, my last thing to you before we get out of here, before we have you promote all your stuff. Shannon has been calling Stephen A. Smith Skip 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of funny. You think I think they're doing it on purpose. I don't think it's on accident.
I think the first day it was an accident. I think that, he was just kind of in the flow and just, he's been on with Skip, right? But I think that it got such a huge reaction that, now they just kind of, call me Skip again. It's funny. People like it. Huh? You wore the name tag one day, and it's kind of that whole ESPN thing, and all the networks and everybody they run the joke into the ground. Like I was telling Jose too about the NFL, right? Like how that former player came out and said, "Oh, the NFL is scripted." We would get the script in training camp every year, and now like they won't stop making the joke about the seasons being scripted.
Oh, that's a whole commercial until Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it's so irritating. Like it was sort of funny the first time, sort of funny, but like you won't let go of it now. And I'm
The
talking about the
commercial,
league.
yeah, the commercial of all the old players coming out of retirement is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like Dan Marino and like Randy
Rice
Moss catching the
and
ball, and
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
and Rice and everything, and Tom Brady kind of making the joke. He's like, "Who would quit and come back?" It's kind of funny. All right, Bronny. Let people know where they can find you and where they can follow you to see all your content.
Yeah, you can find me over on Lunch Break Hot Take. We do the LVHD show, a live stream every Wednesday evening at 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. We follow that up with the overtime show for our patrons. You can also and now that the season has started, we do stream. We're gonna try and stream after the games on Sunday, after the Panthers and Ravens play. You can also find me over on Sip to Tally Films on Monday night at 9 p.m. for the Ravens Roundup with myself, Jose, OTR Mike, Chris Just Joking, Hendo from the Rogue Pod, and of course, Coach Evans from Sip to Tally Films. You can find me, obviously, here Tuesday night, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And then also over on Ring Kings podcast. It's a boxing podcast that I do with my brother Jose and OTR Mike. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus, but it's going to be coming back soon. We just it's been a very, very, very busy summer. So we got to find the time to record. We still got to get the pound for pound list out, but I'll tell you for certain, 100%, we'll be streaming the night of the Canelo and Charlo fight, which is September 29th. 29th or 30th.
29th or
30th. Whichever one is a Saturday.
I think it's the 30th because I'm supposed to go to Oktoberfest and then watch the fight and then try to jump on Ring Kings drunk. That's not fun.
It is September 30th, yes.
Yeah. Shout out. I believe this is Mr. J. It is Mr. J. Yeah, but I don't want to say his real name. So if that was you, Mr. J, I appreciate it. He sent me a cash app for early birthday drinks. Appreciate you, man. I really, really do appreciate it. If it's not Mr. J, I apologize. I don't want to say your real name, unlike some people who said my real name on stream.
You?
Because I said a cash app. No. You said my real name when
How did I find out your real name, sir?
Because I sent it a cash app.
Because you said it on stream.
No. I sent it. No, the first time you sent my name.
How would I know that it's you if you hadn't already told me that was
your
real
because
name?
Because my original cash app was my real name, and then I switched it to Suge.
No. I'm saying, I wouldn't have known who it was.
If you didn't know who it was. If we go back,
told us before.
No. The first time I ever sent in a cash app, you were like, you said my name, and you're like, who's that? And then I was like, well, yeah, I swear.
But that's not me telling people your real name, then, is it?
It really is.
That's you telling people your real name.
You violated our friendship
by reacting, because nobody would have known.
They would have known.
They would
have known. So appreciate that, and make sure to follow all Bronny's stuff. It'll be in the description. Make sure to check out all his streams.
What the hell are you talking about, Basil? Get the hell out of here.
It's not early. I'm tired. I gotta watch Ahsoka.
You have a channel. Why don't you go stream?
Right. Make sure to check all his stuff. So possibly tomorrow. I am not sure. Depending on what happens with this Ahsoka episode that I'm going to watch right now, we may go live. But if not, next Wednesday, me and Jay will be reviewing Ahsoka. We've been having a great time. A lot of you have been coming in the chat, interacting, telling us what you think. It has been absolutely fun. So unless something big happens tonight, we're not going to go live tomorrow. But if something happens, we'll go live. If not, 2 weeks, Wednesday after the OT show, we'll be going live.
I gotta catch up, man.
I've
only watched the first 2 episodes. What I've been watching? I've watched season 3 of Top Boy, which was very good.
Okay. Very. Well, I don't want to spoil the picture I'll take it off then because there's a picture that would spoil some stuff. Next Monday, Cook's birthday hangout. Come hang out. Why are you laughing? Is it
Because of that picture.
That's how I feel right now with this
know.
show. Come hang out Monday night. We'll be watching the Browns versus Steelers, possibly the Panthers versus the ending of Panthers Saints. After Coach Evans' stream, come hang out. I know a lot of you will be there.
I don't
Come
think
hang
there's
out
going to
after.
be I don't think there's going to be a roundup this Monday.
Oh well, then that's perfect. Y'all can come hang out here then with me as we'll be watching the game, kind of hanging out for my birthday. Not really. I'm not gonna be drinking or anything, but we'll hang out, talk, have a good time.
Baza,
Just wanna hang out.
you know he photoshopped that, right? He said you look tall as hell.
Yeah, that was shot from far away to give me some depth. I will say I know I've been promising this, but late night with Suge and Amber will be happening, but it might not be happening until about September 30th.
It's
September
happening
29th.
this week.
No, if you go look, I rescheduled it.
God damn it.
I just got a lot going on. Hey, sorry, I got to work.
It has to be that the 15th is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month.
I know.
Which 15th, really? But whatever. That's not that. You gotta do it on the 15th.
We will. We've been talking. We got things planned. It's just things. I got sick the week before. I got to do some stuff this week. I got my birthday the following week. So the 29th is looking of when we're going to do it, which then it's funny because then it falls on her birthday. Her birthday is October 1st. So we just got a lot going on. So we're trying to get it planned, but that'll definitely be coming back. And then, like I said, Tuesdays here, Still Conspiracy, 6:15 on Tuesdays. Be here next week with another topic. Looking at our picks, hopefully get them right. Hopefully I'm not crying after the Steelers get blown out by the Browns, because for some reason I have a feeling that's going to happen if Rodney's watching the game with me. So come back. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Really appreciate all of you for being here. It's just really appreciate all the support and the good times and conversations we have. Appreciate you, Rodney, for being here. Make sure to hit that like button, comment if you like. Let us know what you want to see. Maybe pick a topic. I don't know how to do it. I have to talk to Hendo how I put a community tab in. But if there's a topic you want us to pick a top 5 of, let us know. We'll do it. I know Ferris has 20 million topics. Jeremy, if you have one,
don't let Ferris do it. Ferris is going to do the top 5 horse movies. And I ain't doing that shit.
Seabiscuit.
That's the only other one I know.
Right? Sagittarius, Seabiscuit.
Well, no.
I mean,
Hidalgo. That's the only other one I know.
Does Beverly Hills Cop 3 count?
No.
Because that had horse racing in it.
No.
Beverly Hills Cop 3 is very underrated. I just want to let you know that.
No, it's
No, it's 2. No, sorry, 2. 2 is the one with the horses, and that is a very underrated Beverly Hills Cop.
Jeremy said he's got us.
All right, Jeremy, you let us know, and we'll do it. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, you guys, have a good night. Be safe. Appreciate you. We're out of here. Talk to y'all later.